Right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest on what could potentially turn into our first official Existence podcast. So we're going to kind of introduce you and get into a very deep discussion that I think every one of our members and people who may not be our members, I think this is a conversation that everyone will hopefully be able to come away looking at things in a slightly different perspective. And let's kind of dig right into this. So our host, our guest today on the show, if you will, co-host, yes, the co-host today. Our co-host is Brian Hemmer. He is the co-owner and head trainer of The Inevitable You. And I met Brian maybe 2 years ago, roundabout, at a seminar. So a couple years ago, I really started diving more into personal development, mindset, something that years ago, if you would have asked me if I was into personal development or self-help or something like that, I would have said absolutely not, because I thought I had all the answers, right? And I started getting into just, opening my mind to the idea that maybe I don't know everything, and maybe developing myself, my mindset, changing my perspective may turn into opportunities for growth out there in the world, from fitness to business to relationships and anything like that. And one of the things about Existence that some people know, some people may not, is that so Existence, right, was kind of founded on the idea that everything works, nothing works forever, there's always room to improve. And we're really based on 5 different pillars. So we have a physical training facility where I am right now, right, where that's where we train the bulk of our fitness. And so fitness is one of those pillars. Mindset may be the biggest pillar that is not spoken about too much. And that's where Brian comes in. That is his bread and butter. So from fitness to mindset, we believe that, if someone has a good solid foundation of fitness, and if they have the mindset to realize that, anything is possible and, you're limitless, if you will. And if you can find a good community of people to do fun things with, learn the skills needed for, your most active lifestyle, then you can pretty much have any adventure that you want. And so those being the pillars, what we really want to do is reach out to our community. And Brian's been, at Project Move for, how long have you been? Project Move?
Around the same amount of time, 2 years, almost 3 years.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, so a couple of years ago, right? I was told about this seminar. It was called The Inevitable You, and I knew there was a book behind it, and I headed out to Project Move, and I just had a couple really just kind of those epiphany moments. Never thought about it like that. And what I'd love to do is kind of have you describe a little bit more of how you approach mindset, right? We dive into everything from there's NLP out there, neuro-linguistic programming. People get very into, personal development seminars, whether it's, going to lectures, going through courses, and there's a lot of different people saying a lot of different things. And I'd love to get your take on, mindset. I know that's a big one.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I'll start off with just going briefly into my story and background, how I got started into all of this. So I grew up here in Colorado. I was born in Chicago, but I grew up with pretty successful parents within the telecom industry during the whole, telecom boom. And I was given the plan, right? The plan for success. It's go to college, get your degree, graduate, get a good job, save for retirement. And I quickly realized that that wasn't the path for me. I actually started in engineering, was my first education for my first year. I could do it, but just wasn't having a lot of fun. I actually went undeclared for a while as my major and started getting dabbling in, exploring more into the psychology realm. And I knew it was something that I had an interest for, and it was really intriguing to me. My first class was on neuroscience, and it just blew me away, just how amazing our brain is and our minds and how complex people are. And so, as I like to joke, I went from one end of the spectrum from with engineering to the complete opposite end, but I actually apply a lot of engineering principles into my psychology approach. And I like to think that, the human brain is a lot more complex of a system to figure out than just a computer, right? So it was a challenge for myself. I love just exploring psychology, but I graduated, major in psychology, minor in business from Denver University here in town. And really the year after that, I was kind of lost. I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I wanted to do something in psychology, but just didn't know what that looked like. I didn't really want to go for more education, spend more money on school. I knew what I didn't want. I didn't want to go into I'll call the traditional route. I didn't want to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I don't really believe with a lot of the medication that takes place today within the mental health system. And there was things that I wanted to change and do differently in that regard. But this year after I graduated was just searching, and I had already been getting involved with my mentor, a great family friend of mine at the time. He recently passed away earlier this year. His name's Bill Sumner. He was the founder of the Inevitable You. And my first experience with him actually was I was in my senior year. Went to an event. He's like, "Hey, I'm throwing this great event. You should come check it out." And so I went, and lo and behold, it's a firewalk. And I'm like, "What is this madness?" All these lunatics walking across hot coals. But I was instantly intrigued. I'm like, there's something going on here that I don't quite understand yet. But it was the excitement that I was able to generate for the participants, for myself. I mean, you go to these events and it requires a lot of your, potential, right? A lot of excitement to walk across fire. And so I just started getting involved, just basically dove right into what Bill was doing. I did a mastermind group with him over the course of a year. Ultimately did a 6-day leadership training with him at the time to get certified in the system. And most people, know it as life coaching. But what Bill taught during that 6-day course and my time with him goes far deeper than I think what most people kind of perceive as life coaching. Really going deep into someone's psychology and what drives them and the thought processes and how do we change that. And so I knew this was the path I wanted to go. And that 6-day course actually culminated in the last day. It was a field exercise, and he called us all to his house, and he handed us a piece of paper, and it had directions on a place to go and just 3 words. And it was make a difference. And I knew at that point, I got in my car to go to my location, and I broke down crying, tears of joy, because I knew it just, everything had culminated to that point in time for me that I got it. I understood. It's like, just make a difference, change some lives, make a positive impact on people. So ultimately, that kind of started this now 9-year journey for me. Started picking up personal coaching clients. I knew that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Bill helped me through a lot of that, changing my belief system and really helping me realize what was holding me back was all up here, all in my mind, right? For starting my own business, making a living, doing what I truly love and not following that plan, right? Those instructions that we're given, which I think in large part are becoming outdated now. That old paradigm of work, save for retirement. And so I knew that while the corporate path wasn't for me, For some of you that may be the case, and that's awesome. That's your passion. But that was really I think the biggest thing for me in realizing that, hey, just follow your passion, follow your heart, do what you love. And, it's not all about money. It's not all about following those old rules, right? So the last 9 years has been an amazing journey and full of ups and downs and challenges. And, as I like to say, one of the reasons I don't like the term life coach is like, I'm not coaching you to live life like me, because, you have your own unique challenges and passions and desires and fears. I'm working through my challenges and flaws and all that. I'm living my inevitable journey. Really what I do is help people discover what that path is for them, how to get there quickly, how to remove these mental barriers, how to tap into more potential. So that's my story. That's how I got into this. And I can go more into inevitable you and what that is, but I want to take a second, get a drink
Powerful,
of water.
Man, living with passion. And I think, that it's something that people throw out there a lot, right? Follow your passion, follow your dreams. And as a kid, like, yeah, I'm going to be this. This is what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to be an archaeologist. I'm going to be the president. I'm going to be, a lawyer, a doctor, astronaut. And then at some point, right, we start getting programmed. And one of the things that really stuck out to me in that first seminar was the idea that, we all have a similar, and I'd love for you to go into, more of this. And I think this is kind of what sounds like kind of basis for NLP. And that is, most of us humans, the majority of us out here, are dealing with pretty much the same hardware, right? We have a brain, we have neurons, we have these connections, we have a physical body. What's different about each one of us is the software that we've uploaded possibly long ago. And so that thought of, well, how outdated is some of my software that I don't even know, right? The stuff that's just running in the background. The stuff that made me go, well, probably not an astronaut, but maybe this, or I don't know if I can do that. What was it, that switched in that software? Where did that program go awry to where I thought it was all there, and then, this is the program now. And I think I'm similar to you in that, respect. I'm going to be a doctor. That was the route I went. I'm going biomedical science. I'm going pre-med, and then got into organic chemistry and kind of flopped around a little bit and thought, what else is out there? I still want to help people somehow in fitness, health. And then that moved into exercise science, but I didn't want to work at a gym. Initially, I was like, or, maybe be an exercise physiologist. And, at different times in our life, I think everybody could probably look back to a point where they did take that step or that leap of faith where they didn't know what the next one, right? For you, starting your own business. For me, same thing, right? Stepping out of that corporate world and saying, I don't know what's next, but I believe this is a possibility. And then even though we can look back and we know that we've done that once, like there's still so many little things that are usually just outside of our line of sight that we don't realize. So yeah,
Right.
I'd love for you to go into a little bit more of that. When we talk about reprogramming your brain or resetting your brain, I feel like there's a lot of people saying that, but it's still kind of confusing, I think, for a lot of folks. What does that mean to have a mindset shift, right?
Yeah.
To have an aha, like a massive aha, oh shit epiphany.
Right. Yeah. So one of the core principles in the inevitable you system that we use is this term software. And what I want you to think about is your body, right? This amazing machine that, it can do amazing things. It can heal itself, right? We can do amazing things with, in terms of strength, in terms of, building muscle. The capabilities of the human body are profound. And when you think about this machine, it's operated and driven by a computer, a hard drive. And that's the same as saying your brain, right? This 3-pound bag of fat cells, water, microamperages of electricity is all it is. But this amazing hard drive that's virtually unlimited memory, by the way, but processing speed and RAM and all the components that go into a computer, pretty similar. what's interesting about psychology is they actually, computer science is they actually engineered software to mimic human logic, right? It's a series of if-then statements. If this happens, perform this function, input this, output that. And so our brains, our minds behave a lot like computers. So the metaphor is that whether you're using a PC, or I'm not a Mac person, but I know Ryan's on a Mac, the iOS system, I think is what they call it. But all computers have loaded onto it software, a user interface, right? An operating system. And again, this appears as questions and, if this happens, then I'll do this. I can't, I will, I won't, up to this point, but not past this point. It's all equations. It's all algorithms. It's all how we're perceiving reality. And it's driving everything. It's driving our emotions, our actions or inactions, right? And so we can take a really great look at someone's psychology and the patterns and programs contained in this software set that are driving reality in a really black and white, clear way. And how we do that, one of the great tools that we all have at our disposal is language. Language is what's revealing the patterns and programs, right? And so we spend a lot of time looking at language. The language is what's revealing the software. So again, we got this machine, our body, driven by the brain. I mean, and think about it, Ryan, right? Like the brain, everything starts with the brain, does it not? Even in training. I mean, you have to have awareness of your body. You have to, it's got coordination, right? It's giving instructions to your
100%.
body. It's one system. I mean, we talk a lot about this mind-body connection.
Right.
They really are. It's inseparable, right?
Yeah. Everything starts with some sort of neural connection, whether it's picking up a dumbbell, squeezing your quad, extending your hips, like all of that is derived from some sort of firing source, right? That 3-pound bag of fat up there.
Yeah. Yeah. And wherever it occurs, I mean, again, the brain's a complex thing. So could be in the parietal or the frontal lobe or the hypothalamus. Now, I don't go into that much detail in terms of my, coaching and stuff. It's interesting to look at that, but just looking at the brain as operating, driving everything, and think about it as cues. Like you're giving a cue to someone through language, they're processing that language and then they're translating it to some physical movement, right? So this is why psychology, mindset is so important. An important pillar for your program is because, with faulty software, or as I like to say, outdated software, right? Because Windows 7 is still functional. I mean, you can, it's actually pretty good. I kind of miss it actually, but Windows 10 is just an updated form of Windows 7. They took the existing software load because there's things that it already did great already. And so there's things that you do amazing already that we want to keep, that we want to enhance. It's just time for a new software load. Windows never stops updating software. They're working on their, whatever it is, Windows 2020 or and beyond. So, this process never stops. We're always changing. We're always evolving. And one of the core messages in the Inevitable You is it's not that you're not broken. You as you are perfect the way that you are. You're already doing the best that you can with the tools that you've been given, and the software and the programs and the instructions that you were given.
Right.
Because, by the way, the software is loaded by our family of origin, right? Early on in life, one of the things that traditional psychology and the latest in neurosciences agree on is it's around this age of 5, right? 5 years old, that the software, or what traditional psychology will call your personality, is baked in. And think about that. That's crazy. 5 years old. The software package is already installed, and then it's modified slightly by life experiences. So
kindergartner software. most of us.
Yes.
And some,
Yeah.
and like you said, I think, you talked about it real quickly, and I want to just kind of go back over the idea that we're not broken. And I think for the longest time, when I walked through Barnes and Noble and saw the self-help aisle, I thought broken people. Oh, that's where my life's in shambles. I don't know what to do. Somebody give me a book to help me figure it out. Right. And I think that's it. That couldn't, although sure, I mean, developing yourself and a little bit of self-care, self-help could definitely help someone that's in, a tragic situation. But on the opposite end of that, anybody who's looking to step out of their comfort zone, which is that's where we achieve success, right? The idea that, self-help or self-care or self-development is only for someone that's quote unquote broken or something like that. I think, this genre sometimes gets a bad rap on that. Oh, I'm fine. I'm like, yeah, I get that you're fine. Right. I get you that you're surviving. Right.
Yes.
And like I said, and some people are thriving. And, I like people to get curious, right? Get curious about what it is. Like, is there something stopping you? And if so, what is that? And it's usually something that you don't even know because, like you said, it's that kindergarten. It's that 5-year-old software.
Yes. And so the basis of the work that I do, I mean, it all begins with the outcomes. What do you want? Is it, for a lot, it's pain that they want to stop, right? There's something bothering them about their current reality. It could be depression. It could be anxiety problems. It could be a relationship. So the work that we do is certainly addressing those pain points, fixing pain, solving pain, healing, and really taking those folks and really going into the realm of tapping into more potential, right? Because
yeah,
what you're capable of is really just limited by the software that's running. The software dictates the limits at which you're operating. Because you're, again, the amazing machine. Now, do you look at yourself as a Ferrari versus a Volkswagen, for instance? You were built to be a Ferrari, but how many of us treat our bodies like Volkswagens and go at the speed of a Volkswagen? I mean, the top speed of a Volkswagen is 85? It might be more now with,
maybe.
But the top speed of a Ferrari is over 200?
Yeah.
You were built truly to be a Ferrari, but how many of us put 85, gasoline in our tanks versus the 91 or 93, whatever the premium gasoline is, right? Ferraris take a lot of maintenance, right? Do you maintain your body like a Ferrari, or is it that reliable, strong, sturdy, Volkswagen only need 2 oil changes a year?
Yeah.
That's a, go
sorry.
ahead. Yeah. I mean, so it's really showing people that they are a Ferrari, providing tools, providing resources, providing insight and consciousness to move past those limits, those barriers, right? Being able to tap into more. And so that you can do amazing things like, jump out of an airplane or, snowboard down a mountain or, all these adventure things that I think you guys, one of your big pillars, your main pillars there is using it as adventure as a way to show people their capabilities, right? Their potential. It all begins with this operating system that's running. And so again, it depends on, what it is that you're coming to us for. It's not about you're broken, we need to fix you. No. It's you're amazing, you're extraordinary, far beyond what you could even imagine. And we've got to get that back from or out of you, because think about it. What 4-year-old on the planet thinks of themselves as limited, broken, challenged beings? They all want it. They're all Superman and Superwoman, right?
Yeah. You can do anything at that age.
Yeah. And
you can do anything at any age.
Yes. It's only programmed into us that, hey, you're not Superman, you're not Superwoman. Oh, come on, be realistic here. Really? Like, right. So
you mentioned that language kind of reveals the patterns of the programs. And I think, one of the little jokes we have in the training center is it's funny. I was thinking about how many self-limiting beliefs there are in the fitness world. Oh, I'll never do that, right? I'll never lose weight. I'll never gain weight. Oh, I've tried to put on muscle before. It just doesn't work for me. Like, oh, you're the 0.000. You're the 1% on the planet. Interesting. Or, I tried to lose weight. It just doesn't work. Right. And it's these, whatever the stories we tell ourselves, but the language is so powerful. And now people know that there are certain words that they should probably not use within the training center. And one of those is can't.
Uh-huh.
And so it's kind of a joke, the old Henry Ford, whether you think you can, you think you can't, you're right.
Right.
And so when someone comes in and they're like, oh, I can't do that. And we have a system when people come through Axistence, we call it the pipeline. And it's where we teach them kind of the foundations, right? The fundamentals of everything that we're going to do with training. And typically at least once somebody says, I can't do a pull-up, or I can't do this, can't do that. And we usually stop them when we say, so from here on out, and it may sound silly, but usually the first thing I tell them is not with that attitude. And so now it's kind of the joke. People say, I can't do that. Oh, I know, not with that attitude. And they'll correct themselves
Yeah.
immediately. But it's like, oh, that's a very deep thing. And where I get very interested about it, and kind of what you were saying there, like that's creating the program, it's creating the pattern, right? So if I hear someone say I can't out loud, I'm thinking to myself, well, how many times are they saying that subconsciously, right? So that language that we use is not just what you can hear out loud from one person to another, right? It's that language that we're constantly telling ourselves, we're not telling ourselves, right?
Yes.
The stories that we're running in our brain, quite possibly from, events that happened to us,
right,
20, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Our history, right? We reference our history. We say, this data point happened to me. Here's what it means now.
Yeah.
Look, I broke my leg skiing on Vail Mountain, and I'm, the doctor said I was going to limp. So I limped now. Well, we also know that the body not only works to build it back 100%, a broken leg, back to 100%, it overbuilds it, builds it back better than it was. Again, these amazing capabilities of the body. It's only limited by like you said, the stories that are running, the internal dialogue. That is the most important, right? I mean, and that's why we use journaling. We preach journaling here, because you're able to take those thoughts and collapse it onto a piece of paper and look at, this is the sentence that I'm repeating to myself. And this is where NLP comes into play. Ryan, I know you wanted to address that a little bit. NLP, or neuro linguistic programming, is one of the main tool boxes that we use here. And it was actually created by a computer scientist and a psychologist. And they looked at these and they're like, wow, they're so similar. We could apply the same principles across, different schools of thought and create a system out of this, so that you can look at a program as a pattern, and here's a specific tool to interrupt the program, like catching that I can't sentence. Now play a new sentence. So neuro-linguistic programming is just a system to change the habitual sentences that are playing. Neural, having to do with neurons, the brain, right? Linguistics, language, communication, most importantly, communication with yourself, and then programming, just as it sounds. You are programming your mind, programming your brain with language. And this happens on the physical level too. There's observable neural changes that happen in the brain, because all a pattern, all a habit is just neural nets that have been wired over time. It's like a groove in the record. It's just been played over and over and over again. And that's why it can seem really hard to change, because your brain's been hardwired to do this certain thing for a period of time. And so we just need to play a new sentence, play a new neural net, if you will, and that becomes the new pattern, the new habit.
Yeah, I think that's where, for me, what I hear, especially like when it comes to journaling, right? If I was to think, how many times am I saying I can't throughout the day, I might not even be saying it that much if I'm running the exact same program. Because if I wake up, let's say I wake up tomorrow in this pandemic apocalypse, right, that we're in right now,
Uh-huh.
and I go about my exact same, I wake up, maybe I get on Facebook, maybe I make some coffee, I walk around the house for a while, whatever it is, not me personally, but whatever your routine is right now, say you're stuck at home, right? If you do absolutely nothing different and you journal throughout the day, you're probably not going to have a lot of I can'ts, right? Because you're not necessarily trying anything new. You haven't stepped outside of that comfort zone. Now, if I think, okay, tomorrow I'm going to work out, right? And I get up and I have my shoes ready. That's when, oh man, it's cold out there, or I can't. That's where we start to get it, right? When we start to kind of step right outside of your comfort zone. And so for most people, I don't know about most people, that might be a broad generalization, but if I was just to go about tomorrow the exact same way as I did today, exact same way as I did before, I'm probably not going to, even if I was journaling everything, it seems like it would be difficult to find a lot of those I can't or self-limiting beliefs throughout my normal, typical day. Maybe. Would you agree there? Or is that?
I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah, if you're not doing anything new, you're most likely going to be seeing the same sentences over and over again. The question becomes, what is that same sentence, right? Is it, oh, it's quarantine and I don't have my gym and I don't have weights, so how can I work out? And oh, this sucks. I'm so sick of quarantine and life is terrible, and that might be playing over and over again.
Yeah. I guess during the quarantine, things are much different than.
Well, no, it's a good
story now. Yeah.
It's a great time because it's also an opportunity to change those. It's been a big pause, right? And a big, everything came to a screeching halt, right? Where we were going. And in our, culture, we're so busy, right? We all wear it as a badge of honor almost. Oh, I'm so busy, right? I mean, how many times do you say that? But it's forced us to stop that pattern and hopefully start to go inward, examine, who am I, or what it really is important, or, it's different for everyone, but I think it's a great opportunity now to really practice this work, practice journaling, practice looking at your language and psychology, look at what do I want to change? What do I want to upgrade? For some, that may be nothing, and that's perfect. That's fine. And also know that, if you're not changing, you're dying. I mean, we're all dying, but
maybe a little quicker if we're not making any changes.
Exactly. Yeah. So you really have to ask yourself, again, it's not, there's something wrong with me, I have to fix it. What do you want? Is it more love? Is it more health? Is it more money? It doesn't matter what the request is. What's important is that the software that needs to drive those new thoughts, those new actions. Actions being the big one. I mean, that's where all of this kind of, where the rubber meets the road is, what are those actions that are going to get you to this next, desirable state that you want? Or is it just inertia? You just continue in inertia and nothing changes. And like you said, you wake up and wake up on the same side of the bed, shower the same way, scrub the same armpit, pour my coffee into my favorite mug, and, before this whole quarantine thing, drive the same way to work,
And for some folks, that may be exactly what they want, what they need.
Absolutely.
But it's more of that kind of, not that anyone is broken. I should probably find a different word. I keep using that one, but instead of, just kind of getting curious, and I think, so if I was going to journal tomorrow, so if I'm listening to this and I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, so if I can take myself maybe out of my comfort zone, whether it's something, maybe, would you say throwing a couple goals out there as far as, hey, here's something we're looking at, my relationships, right? My business, home life, whatever that is. Can you throw out some examples there? Maybe some areas of life people could look at to where they might start having these questions or these self-limiting beliefs come up. And so we can start to kind of recognize those.
Yeah, well, I always love the health realm because you can see quick, observable, changes. It's more objective versus subjective, right? It's different from maybe a relationship or um, even with your business maybe or leadership. Is more subjective. You maybe start to notice some changes, but with health, for instance, if it's weight that you want to drop or a certain weight you want to be, or a strength goal you want to hit, whatever the outcome is, again, it can be to stop something, heal pain, or to start something, you want something, but set the outcome, set the target. Now look at what's driving it. So I use 7 questions, and we could even share this with the viewers as far as journaling. But what's going well? What are you already doing that's working? You want to keep that. You want to enhance that. You want to do more of that. What's not going well? Where are you challenged? What's hard? What do you perceive as a limitation or stopping you? What old beliefs are too powerful to overcome? And now it's okay, well, what do my new beliefs have to be? If I said I can't yesterday, what can I do? What am I capable of? And then the last question of the 7 that I give my clients is, what do you want to work on this session or tomorrow, or what are you going to do differently? What's the action you're going to take? What do you want to focus on shifting or changing? So that's where I would start, setting the outcome, really looking at what's well and what's not well, and begin to listen to those beliefs, those sentences that are happening. I'll give you an example of a tool that we use if you want to start to, how do I identify what's a pattern or program or software? One of the classic tools we love to use. So when a small child goes to pour their first glass of milk, what's the form of the command do you think that 90% of parents will use or tell that child when they go to pour their first glass of milk? What are they going to say?
First glass of milk. Don't you spill that milk.
Right on. Yeah. Don't spill. Right. Now, what happens in order for the brain to cognitively process that command is you literally have to think of ways to spill milk in order to avoid doing it. So you're already thinking, again, the mind-body connection. Well, I could knock the glass over. I could trip and fall. I could spill over the side. And by the way, if you're an overachiever, you're not thinking of 50 ways you could do it. You're thinking of 200 plus ways, even crazy out of this world, impossible things like, meteor can rip through the ceiling right now and rip the picture out of my hands. Now I got to worry about meteors. And so you take this child, you take that form of the command, and it can appear in many different ways. This don't spill, focused on the outcome that you don't want. Now they're, in the workforce, they're at their job, they're heading into a meeting, a very important meeting. Maybe it's a meeting with investors, a boss, whoever. What do you think is likely happening if that was one of their primary commands for success? What are they thinking about?
Yeah, don't screw this up.
Yeah, don't say that. Oh, that's stupid. Don't do that. And, it becomes very tormented. And with the meteors, do you think 20 years down the road, since you haven't ever been hit by a meteor, that one day you just I haven't been hit. I think I can stop worrying about meteors now. Or does it's because I was worried about meteors for so long is why I haven't, been hit by one yet. And so I got to continue, and it's more intense. Right. So
because I've been thinking about how to avoid the meteor.
Exactly.
That's why I haven't been hit.
So these are how these worry or anxiety patterns, evolve and intensify over time.
Yeah.
You rely on it. You think, well, that's what's creating success for me. And so you continue doing it. Versus now, the don't spill is what we call an away pattern, moving away from what you don't want. what would be the opposite form of success, do you think? That, and by the way, the don't spill, is it enhancing or decreasing the probability that you're going to spill the milk? If you're visually thinking about images of spilling milk, do you think it's increasing or decreasing the probability that's going to happen?
Probably increasing.
Yeah.
Similar, think about anything you want right now except for a pink elephant, right? Don't think about a pink elephant.
Right, right, right. Or it's like riding a bike, right? What do they train you? Like, look where you want the bike to go, not where you don't want it to go. If you're focused on the pothole or whatever it is, you're more likely to hit it. So we want to create the software or the right imagery in the mind in order to ensure or increase our probabilities of success. So what would the form of the command be for that child pouring their first glass of milk?
Yeah. Now I've been to the seminar, so I might have a leg up here, but focus, right? Careful.
Yeah, see, I'm testing you. I'm kind of quizzing you right now.
Right?
Yeah, close. Yeah.
Just
Focus is good. Focus on what?
Focus on a steady stream. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Pour carefully, something like that, Hey,
Be
pour
mindful.
carefully. Get the milk in the glass. So now you're thinking, okay, pour slowly, walk slowly, be more intentional. And again, with the overachievers, you'll think of even more ways that you can do that even more efficiently, right? So it changes the cognitive processes based on the command that you're giving. You're in a towards pattern now, focused on what you want. Yeah. And we know, and this is again where NLP kind of comes in, what they did was they studied the psychology or the habits, the patterns and programs, if you will, of really successful people. What they found was, this top 10% primarily operate in a towards pattern. They're focused on what they want, not on what they don't want.
Yeah.
So that's a big first step in changing the software.
That's huge. And, there are a lot of very successful former athletes in the business world, right? Oftentimes, athletes have self-limiting beliefs, just like a lot of other folks do as well. But I would venture to say they probably have a few less than the average human who hasn't had a goal of make this ball in this hole, right? You'd be hard pressed to find Michael Jordan getting ready in his heyday saying something like, "Oh, don't miss this shot," right? That's exactly. Probably not the language he was using.
Right. He's probably saying something like, "I'm the man, give me the ball, I'm making the shot, I'm winning this game," right?
Yeah. And that, especially throwing it into kind of a competition aspect of this is what I'm going to do versus all the ways that you might, you probably find few athletes in the Hall of Fame who, talk to themselves during the game about how not to F this up.
Right.
It's most likely like, okay, this is what I'm doing right now, right? This ball goes here, or, X goes to Y. Like this is just what happens. And it happens because I'm confident in my skill, right? Because they've done it. And therein comes the practice, the language as well. You mentioned something else, and I thought about it just as a personal item for me. I got a song stuck in my head the other day, and it was that Juice Newton, "Angel of the Morning." It still gets caught in my head. Fantastic song. So I played it probably 10 times in a row at maybe 7 a.m. And just joking around, dancing around. I woke up later that night at 3 a.m. with that song blaring in my head. And it made me think about the inevitable you. It made me think NLP. It was like, here's something that I programmed myself 10 times in a row. And subconsciously, that shit's playing in the background to where it woke me up at 3 a.m. And it just made me think about what other things am I programming, throughout the day, good or bad, right, that are just kind of slipping into my dreams at night or slipping into my subconscious that I don't even realize.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a great reference to another tool that we use called the old song on the radio, right? Mm. A song can trigger old software, old memories, old things. It could be the song that you had your first breakup to. Immediately you're in that moment, you're metallic taste in your mouth and gut wrenching, and you're like, I hate this song. And you have this intense reaction to it, right? Or it's the song that you had your first kiss to, right? It's the butterfly feelings, and you could smell their, perfume or cologne. You're in that moment, and it's, again, emotions, memories, songs can trigger old software to open up. And so this is a good tool now for you with the song stuck in your head, right? What's the only way to get it out of your head?
Typically find a new song.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
you got to play a new song.
Something else in there.
Even if it's happy birthday to me, happy birthday, right?
Yeah.
Any song, you have to play a new song to override that old song. So that's the same as playing a new tape over an old tape, and a new story over an old, a new sentence over an old sentence. Yeah. And how this happens is repetition and intensity. Two ways that we wire habits or new patterns in. You just do it over and over again, and you do it with intense emotion. That's really the process of changing your mind, changing software. That's it in a nutshell, or in a really simplified sense. So it's looking at back to what do I journal about? What do I become conscious of? What are the old songs that are playing,
Yeah. And what new songs could I throw in there?
Exactly. Yeah. What would the new song even be? What would that sound like?
Yeah.
What would I say? Yeah.
Do you have any, so for those, giving someone a new song, or when someone finds that new song, when they, start to add that intensity and that repetition, the consistency, to start breaking up that old pattern, to start, getting rid of that old software. Do you have any cool stories kind of off the top of your head, or incidents where you've really seen someone kind of shake something in the past?
Yeah. I have a ton of, case studies, stories. And I wanted to make a quick point about the don't spill the milk tool. So this is applicable to your question here. It's not that away patterns are bad, because they're effective at avoiding something, right? They're effective at not doing something, right? But it's only in pairing a towards pattern with it is where you really ensure, the most success. And so a funny story from a client of ours was like, this, crazy moment the other day. It was a mother. I was in the kitchen, and I was washing the dishes, and just that motherly instinct came over me. Something bad is happening in the other room. And so I put the dishes down. I walked in, and I see my 4-year-old son about to stick a knife in the electrical socket. And I look up, I see my husband standing right there, and he's going. So I yell out, "Stop!" And I run over, and I, grab the knife out of his hand. Like, I look to my husband, and I'm like, "What is wrong with you? Like, why didn't you say anything?" And he's like, "I couldn't think of a towards pattern, pour carefully way to say, don't stick the knife in the socket." So there's times where you have to say, stop, don't do that.
Sure.
Stop that old pattern, stop it. And now what do we do with knives? They go in the drawer. We carry them with the blade down to protect ourselves, and we only cut food, right? So we give the towards pattern way of, here's what we now want to do with knives. So that's a classic example of how that played out. But you'll have these moments where, and I've heard it from a lot of parents, like, man, once I got the don't spill the milk tool, I hear myself saying don't, like, all the time now. And yeah, once you're aware of it, once you can't unknow. And it's just a matter of catching it, playing the new song, saying, what's my pour carefully.
Figuring it. And like you said, somebody's about to electrocute themselves. Stop, get away from there. Now, if that's what they hear, if that's what you tell them all the time, hey, stop, get away from that. Stop, get away from that. Like, in a scenario like that, right? you know?
Yeah, because now you play that out, that kid, that child might grow up and have an irrational fear of butter knives, right? Because it was don't do that, but the mind has the connection to the knife. You just have to create that new towards pattern. Some other examples, without going into too much specifics, but I've worked with a lot of business owners, a lot of real estate investors, but one of my favorite, I think, stories or clients was, it was a woman who had been working in the alcohol distribution industry for a long time, salesperson, was very successful, but just was not fulfilled, wasn't happy with it anymore, wanted to get out, wanted to do something different. And she wanted to open a yoga studio. It was a really funky kind of retail shop with yoga, Reiki, all these different kind of cool services and classes. And she just, was struggling with this, couldn't pull the trigger, didn't want to leave for a lot of different reasons, right? It's a risk. You're leaving something that's safe and reliable and comfortable.
Yeah.
This is a great metaphor in thinking about old versus new software, because old software is doing the best that it can to protect you. It's built for safety and comfort. That's really all. It's predictable, right? I know what I have certainty. And so there's a lot of fear in thinking about making a change, right? And for this person, it was, fear of taking that leap of faith. And now I don't have the steady paycheck. I don't have my health insurance. My house is on the line and I have kids, and, these are real things to be concerned about, and that contribute to this fear. But if it's the uncertainty that's driving it, and the belief, really coming down to it, the belief that I can't, right? Or what if it fails? How many of us are built on, operate by not failing, afraid of failing? It's a lot, very common pattern, but help this woman to basically redesign the belief system, create the confidence to, really own and believe that not only will she make it and this will succeed, but she'll be wildly successful. And so ultimately she took the leap of faith and has a thriving studio now and living her dream and her passion. It all came back to that story, right? That she's telling, the belief system that she's running about her capabilities. So that's one of my favorite examples. And really going, I'll take a breath and let you ask a question. I'll grab a drink of water here.
No, that's super cool. And I think, a lot of folks want to live into their passion. They want to, live their dreams, but oftentimes, and a lot of people do, and it's very easy to convince ourselves that either it wasn't worth it or that wasn't realistic, and I think a lot of times that does just come in from self-limiting beliefs. And I still, I think I'm going to start journaling. I picked up a quarantine journal right here.
Nice.
Just to start writing things down, kind of what am I thinking about? And, for me, it often comes out with content, right? I'm putting a blog out, I'm putting a video out, something like that.
Yeah.
And what used to stop me, a big one for me was, this guy already wrote a book on this, and he was he said what I wanted to say, but he said it way better, and he's got way more followers or, fans, whatever. And that would just stop me. And I'd be like, well, I'll just send people to his book, right? Or to his system or something like that. And then something switched and it's been switching over the last year, but realizing that, you, Brian Himmer, right now, there's absolutely no one in the world with your background, the things that you've done. There's only one of you, right? All the things that you've thought about, all your life experiences have culminated into you. And the people that you speak to are going to resonate with you. And as much as I want to tell people about, hey, there's this really good kettlebell guru, and he says it like this, they're probably never going to go follow that kettlebell. Maybe they might, but what they want to do, like, they're sitting with me because they probably trust me, and I'm resonating with them. So I might as well say it in my own voice, giving them credit, not stealing someone's information, but
Right.
taking similar information, being able to present that in your own way to where it lands, right? And that was one of the big ones for me that just kind of hit me of like, oh yes, oh other people have done it. The scenario I throw out often is pants, and what I mean by that is, at some point somebody made a pair of jeans. It's probably Levi's. I don't know. Was Levi the first jean company? Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe
let's say they
Wrangler
were. Wrangler. And at some point somebody was like, you know what? I'm going to make a pair of jeans. And probably a couple people thought that, and they thought, well, that's stupid. Somebody's already making jeans. Somebody's already making jeans. Like, if you were to look today at how many companies there are making jeans, I don't know, hundreds, maybe thousands of different companies. Like, it's just jeans. Like, oh yeah, but ours has a different little pocket up here. Our button goes differently. And there are going to be people that resonate with each one of those companies to where they're like, hey, I love what your jeans are all about. I love that, oh, Patagonia, you've got some jeans, but I know you're all about the environment. Right. And so having people, that resonate with you, it's just that's been a big one for me, as far as like not stopping myself from putting something out there and just kind of putting it into my own words.
That's an awesome realization. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to be said about the authenticity, right? Speaking your truth, and really, I mean, it's stuff that you're really passionate about, that you're talking about. So it's fun for you, and you're sharing knowledge and serving others. And I like to think of it as like music, right? I mean, no one's out there inventing new notes. It's the same notes, just played in different variations and different things, so, and that'll never stop. And so as long as you play your song, arrange the notes and the resources in the way that's authentic and unique to you, and blare that song, man, sing that passionate song. And it's authentic, and people, some people are jazz fans, some people are country fans. So you might be singing to a country fan and you're a jazz musician, and they're probably, not going to resonate with it, but you'll find your jazz listeners.
Yeah. Play your song. I love it.
Referencing another Inevitable You tool up there. We won't go into that one yet, but.
All right.
And I think there's a lot to be said, Ryan, too, about, taking that, what goes into taking that leap of faith, because there is that element of failure, or maybe disappointment, or wondering what if, or what these people are going to think. But looking at not failing as that don't spill the milk pattern, right? The away pattern of, avoiding that, which also a lot of the work that we do is reprogramming even that, what does failure mean? To reference back to the 4-year-old you, what 4-year-old on the planet says, you know what, I tried the 2-wheeler, and have you seen my elbows? Look how scraped they are. And, you know what, I think the tricycle is good for me. I'm gonna stick with the trike. No, they all want to ride a 2-wheeler.
Yeah.
And they fall down and they scrape their elbows and they fail and they learn, so failure, looking at it as this is growth, this is lessons, this is getting me closer. It's all part of the equation, failure leads to success. We've all heard the quotes out there,
Yeah.
So, again, it goes back to the belief system, the meanings. What are you telling yourself about, a potential failure, or a dream that you want to chase or not chase? So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
No, that's perfect, man. It gives me a lot of ideas, especially now I'm wondering about how many people out there right now have a project that they've kind of been thinking about. Maybe I'm going to do some woodworking, but it's like, I don't know anything about woodworking. And I would say, try tomorrow to get out, safely, maybe a small sign, just see what happens. You might fail. You probably will fail, especially if you've never done it before, and you'll learn something, right?
Exactly.
And there will be a pattern that was interrupted, and you will find out, oh, okay, especially, or you could tell yourself, well, I suck at this, and just chalk that up and file it away as something
or I don't even like woodworking. I don't know why I thought I did. Maybe it's steel working. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, whether that's, painting, making a new dish. I know that's a big one, right? Oh, I can't cook is a story that I hear people say all the time, which is obviously not true, right? Everyone can cook something. That's like,
You just need a recipe.
Humans, right? You just need a recipe. And that's what I would throw out there. Anybody that's, maybe thinking about doing something, just give it a shot, and just 100% don't be afraid of failing, knowing that, right? It's not your definition of failure, right? It's learning.
Right.
It's learning. It's getting a result. And especially like seems like a pretty safe time where you can learn a lot, fail a lot, try something.
Absolutely.
Try something new.
Yeah. And, I think the last big point with that, with the, the idea around recipes is, I think one of the thing that makes what I'm doing, the Inevitable You, kind of unique from a lot of stuff that I see out there. There's a lot of recipes out there, and there's a lot of awesome recipes, right? Some are more simple than others, but there's recipes galore, and that's, within fitness and, cooking even, or, here's how to have a better relationship or be a better real estate investor. What I really focus on and what we really work on with our clients is not only providing, access to recipes, but installing the software and belief system that you're an amazing chef.
Yeah,
right?
Anybody can pull that recipe out, right?
Yeah.
It's that belief system.
And everyone's an amazing chef. Everyone's extraordinary. You have this potential that, when you whip out a recipe, it might not come out exactly as planned, or it might taste like shit, but hey, you tried it. You tried the recipe, and you'll get better at it as you continue to practice it, continue to wire that new pattern in.
Yeah. Everyone is an amazing chef. Awesome, man. I feel like that's I feel like that might be a good one to end on there, unless is there anything else you want to throw out there?
No, I mean, this was awesome. So much to talk about. I mean, we covered a lot, and I don't know how long it's been, almost an hour, but we'll continue this, man. We'll follow this up with some more videos, make a series out of it, and hope the viewers love the discussion, and type some questions into the comments and send us by email. You can reach out to me. I'm Brian with a Y at theinevitableyou.com. Go to our website, check us out, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the opportunity, Ryan, and I'm looking forward to our next one.
Thank you. If someone wanted to purchase The Inevitable You, the book, would they go to the website?
Yeah. So there's a few different things there that you'll find. It's written by Bill, my mentor, 200-page. That's a good intro into the coaching system. That's kind of the foundation, the basics. There's a whole course back there, online course that we built that actually goes more in depth, walking you through this process of upgrading your software. Lots of content focused on various topics, from health to love to leadership, within that membership site. And really, from there, we have coaching, we have leadership training. I do an ongoing leadership course, really certifying people in the coaching system. But if anyone's interested in that, just, reach me through the website or email me. Happy to chat with you.
Sweet. Well, awesome, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, please look forward to people, asking questions, letting us know maybe if you tried something slightly outside of your comfort zone, just to see whether or not you could do it. If you failed, and how you're going to try it again next time, maybe with a different strategy, or maybe, maybe asking questions of what's a story you could tell yourself that might give you a different result.
Yeah, that's all. And hopefully if we accumulate enough questions, we can even do a Q&A type
awesome
session. So thanks again, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Ryan. Stay safe and healthy out there.
Yes, stay safe, stay strong. We'll see you next time.